Hi and welcome to Bitrix24 Live. My name's Andy and I'm the support manager here at Intraface. We are gold partners of Bitrix24 and we have offices located in the US, the UK and in the UAE, in Dubai. And if you do have any questions or queries, that's what this hour is going to be for. Just put them in the box provided on YouTube and I can answer them as we go through. I do have the cloud version of Bitrix and also the on-premise version of Bitrix open, so I can show you if you've got questions on either. So a little bit more about us, Intraface. Like I say, we are gold partners of Bitrix and we offer premium support. So we offer telephone and ticketing support, and we also offer demonstrations. If you're interested in purchasing Bitrix and you've not yet purchased a commercial package, we can provide you with a one-to-one demo online. And we can get your team on board. We can just do a screen share and show you a bit of a tailored approach to how Bitrix works for your business. We also offer implementation, so if you have purchased Bitrix already but are struggling to get it going in your business, then we can offer some implementation strategies as well. And we also offer installation support, so if you are wanting to host the on-premise version of Bitrix, then we can also provide installation support. So that's installing it on your server, whether you've got a physical server in your office or you're using something like Amazon AWS or Google Compute, then we can assist with that. So if you do have questions that come in through the week, then do drop us an email to sales@intraface.com or live@intraface.com. We can usually pick them up at the beginning of the following session. So we're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So we did have a couple of questions come through. One of them is a little bit more generic than the other. So one of the questions was just with regards to a client struggling to understand how they can invite their client in to Bitrix and give them a bit of a restricted view. So for those of you that are using Bitrix, you're obviously going to be aware of the project side of Bitrix, so the Workgroups. So if we click into the Workgroups here, that's essentially where we have the ability to create a project workgroup, and with the main element in this case, in this question, with being an external project. So if we click on the create button, you have the option whether you want to create an external workgroup or an external project. In this the question that came in was with reference to a project. We click on external project, and what we can see here is we give the project a name, give it some dates, pretty standard stuff. But we can invite external users. So if you've already created and invited an external user into the system, then they're going to appear in this list here. So you can see Andy is an external user, represented by the little globe icon and the gold colour. Or you can invite new clients into this particular project. So you can just enter in an email address. They'll receive an email with this text in here. So let's call this Bitrix24 Live July. Give it some project dates. One of the common questions is about project dates is why would you give it a start and end date? It's really good in Bitrix because if you're creating tasks and you set the deadlines out of those dates, then it does pop up and say you can't do so because it falls out of the project range. So it does give you some restrictions. So if I create this project here, And then if we go to the General tab, you'll be able to see here we have project owner and project members. So there are essentially three different levels of permissions inside a work group. You have the owner level, you have a moderator level, and you have a member level. So let's go into a work group that already exists with some members in. Let's have a look at Buzzco. So you can see here project owner, project assistants, and project members. Now, the good thing is with permissions inside work groups is that click into actions as the owner and you can click on access permissions. So this is where you set the permissions of this particular work group. So these are the modules that we currently have active: photo gallery, tasks, calendar. So tasks is a good one. If you want to stop your clients from creating tasks, then you can do so by permission to create tasks here. We're just going to set it to group owner and moderators. So that's a group owner, and project assistants. So this is how you should be setting up your infrastructure of your projects so that you can start restricting what your clients can do. So you can see here we have 2 extranet users in our project. We also have a project assistant. So that will essentially mean that our external users cannot create tasks in this project, probably because you don't want them to. You're setting the project structure out with the tasks and the documents and things like that. So set your employees to the assistants, set your external members to the members, and then you can set your permissions in here. There's only 2 permission areas where you can't set in the permission and the access permissions, and that is going to be the drive. So in the drive, you can set your own permissions on the drive itself just by clicking on drive link and then the icon here, assign permissions, and we can specify here who has access to this particular document drive in the project. So you can see owner, full access, moderators, who are going to be your employees, and then your members, who are going to be your external users. So it may be the case that we set our external users only to have read writes in this particular document drive. That will essentially mean that they won't be able to upload files into this. They won't be able to create folders. They won't be able to do certain things. So that's quite a good level of permission. Furthermore, if you have this checkbox ticked, what you can do is you can override the overall drive settings, but place them on individual files and folders as well. So you can see here we have group members to have read access, and then what we can do, maybe we want them to have edit access on this particular folder. So that will therefore mean that they will be allowed to upload files into this costs folder. So it's you can sort of break down a file structure, permission structure in your project work group. Okay, so a few weeks ago I had asked about automation and Bitrix Drive. Can you show how to select a specific folder within the Bitrix Drive so that a person can be notified of a file being sent there? So yes, certainly. I think I know what you mean. So if we go into the Bitrix24 drive, and let's go into our on-premise because I think it's set up a little bit differently on our cloud. So let's go into the drive, and let's go into our company drive to select a specific folder. Now, let's just say HR folder here. So let's click into the HR folder. And what we want to do, every time a file gets uploaded into this particular HR drive folder, what we can do is, first of all, click on the gear icon at the top, click on Configure Business Processes, make sure that's ticked. If it is, then you'll see this Business Processes drive in here. So that's the first thing. Then what we can do is, we already have one in here, so let's just create a new one. Create a new sequential business process. with the main importance of this item here, auto run when added. So we click in here and we say, again, we'll just say notification. So when added. And then it's as simple as that, really. That's all you need to do. So send a notification, and you can send it to a specific recipient. It may be that, I think I can remember the question when you asked about the automation, uploading a document into a drive. If you're following on from that automation, I would include the notification in that actual automation process. But it's as simple as that, really, in terms of sending a notification. If that's what you're referring to, click on save. So, I mean, I probably should have sent. Let's just go back into here and click into John Smith. Let's see if this works on here. And you can pull in all sorts in that notification. You can pull in the file name. So if I go back into the HR folder, click off here, and click into HR, and add a file. I think theoretically, if I give it a refresh, we should have a notification. So you can see that demo user, it's sent from demo user. Probably should have put a new file has been uploaded, but you can get access to all the file names in here. So we could change that notification to, like I say, click back into it, new file, just to point out, because sometimes it does. So you can click into the 3 dots next to it, and you can specify file name. So if we just rerun that again, and you can include BB code. I think we talked about that on the last session. You can include BB code to directly link you to the folder as well. It's a bit like HTML. So again, if you just refresh, click into here, so you can see new USP. So that's how we would do it. So it can be quite useful, that. So we've got a few questions come through. I'm working with Bitrix Online Store option and I have a question. How can I connect the visibility of a product with its catalogs features? This is so that you can see if it is it as in free market when you click on an article that you would want, and you can visualize its characteristics. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Maybe if you could just explain a little bit more. And its catalog features. What do you mean by catalog features? So I'll come back to that one if you're okay. I'm trying to create a public form for employment applications in which the list of open jobs drops down from a menu on the form, gets updated based on the job list in a work group where I can state if a job is open for hire or not. Is this possible to accomplish? I mean, it would be possible to accomplish. How I would start it, if you're doing it in a work group, then whichever work group that you're in, so let's just go back into one on our system, I would start off in lists. So this is where your job list should be. Is it job list? Job is open for hire, yeah. So I would create a new list, maybe called jobs, and maybe have a field on there within the list. So if you click into a list here, one that's already been created, we would probably have job name, job status, maybe open or closed. However, what you will need to do to create a public form to be able to show the information in here is you are going to have to use the API on Bitrix. So Bitrix does have an API, and lists are accessible via the API. So I'll probably send you some, probably post some information out on the API available for lists. You will also need to, I can't really show you on here because it's quite in depth on how you do it, but you would also probably, once that form is submitted, if you want it to come back into Bitrix, you are going to, if you click onto the application store on the left hand side and click into webhooks, then you are probably going to need to post back in. So you need to create an inbound webhook here. And then instead of, we usually use it for CRM, but there is a lists option in here. So if you click on the lists option and then click on save, you can start posting back into lists here. It gives you a unique URL, and then you're going to need the API information to use this URL for. So it's a little bit more complex. It wouldn't be, I'm not too familiar with the API myself. It would be one of our developers. So I'll put some contact details up on the screen. Please do get in touch with us and we can send you some information with regards to the API. What you're after is possible. I think we've done it before for one of our clients. So I would probably get in touch with us, either sales@intraface.com, and maybe just title the email Bitrix24 Live API, Job API, or email Andy, A-N-D-Y, myself, at intraface.com. So that's andy@intraface.com. And I can send you some information on the API, which I think you'll find useful on there. I would like to ask about an error while uploading a quote template to the CRM. After uploading the Word document to the system, when we try to use it, it says cannot generate PDF file for the document. Please try again later. I'm not sure the reason why. Could be if are you on a cloud version of Bitrix or an on-premise? It can be if it's an on-premise version that the server is maybe not configured correctly. If it's a cloud version, you're going to need to speak with Bitrix24 support. I believe that they do have a chat widget on there. In here, you can, I think if we go into Bitrix support team, so you can directly send a message. It can take a little bit of time to get back, but they do usually will resolve the issue. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to generate the PDF without looking into it a little bit more. Is there a way to allow external users limited access to specific leads in the CRM? No, there isn't. So an external user is a free user on Bitrix, essentially. You can have unlimited external users on Bitrix, and they just get access to the work group that you invite them into. So when we looked at it at the start of the session, they only have access to the work group, and if you're on an on-premise version, then you can sort of grant them access to other pages. So we're on an on-premise version here. If we went onto the extranet, we can create new pages here. So we have a news page. In fact, let's just go back. So we have a support that's sat on our extranet. We have courses, we have cases. So that's what an extranet user is for. What we have done before is created, if you do have an on-premise, we have created user groups that solely restrict everything in the system to grant access to one particular area or one particular module. So if you wanted to go back to your intranet, I think we've got a link back to it. So if I go back to Bitrix here, what we can do on an on-premise version is strip everything out of here. Maybe just have a link called leads based on that specific user group. So they would only ever have access to the leads. And then based on your CRM permissions in your leads, you will then restrict it to only be able to see their own leads. So how can I separate? So if you've got an on-premise, it's possible. If you've got the cloud, it wouldn't be possible, unfortunately. How can I separate leads into segmented campaigns so reports will be specific to that campaign? So, I mean, if you're talking about segmented campaigns as such as adding them to a segment and sending out the CRM marketing, then you can create segments, as I'm sure you're aware, in the CRM marketing tool. How I would, if you're talking about splitting your leads into segments while not into the marketing. So let's just touch on the marketing aspect first. We have leads. We can create a filter, split all the leads out into, let's just say, from a particular source. So let's just say personal contact, click on search. We'll create our filtered list here. And then with regards to the CRM marketing, what you can do now is add to a campaign segment that you've already created inside the CRM marketing module. If you don't, you can click on create new, click on apply, and it will create a new segment. So a segment in Bitrix CRM marketing is essentially your campaign list, who you are sending your email campaign to, your SMS campaign, or your telephony campaign. That's how you segment your data from Bitrix CRM into the CRM marketing, so you can then send your campaign out to that particular segment. And then whilst you're in there, you can see and report on those specific campaigns and see how well they've done in terms of who's opened it, who's clicked on which area of the email, and so on and so forth. So that's the reporting facility on segments in the CRM marketing. With regards to if you mean how can I separate leads into segmented campaigns, you're going to need to create some kind of either custom field that says campaign. So in the CRM again, if we go into the settings, click on form and report settings and click on custom fields, you can add a new field in a lead called campaign, give it a list, and then in here the list tab will appear at the top, and then we could say, I don't know, Facebook, Instagram, let's just say Twitter. So we've got 3 different types of campaign. So we click on save there, and then what you can do is categorize your leads then. So if we clicked into this particular lead, and let's just select our new campaign field to show, we could then specify that this is an Instagram campaign. So click on save. So this has come from, I mean, you probably generally, it may be that you don't do it that way, but you may have the sources instead, that this lead has come from Instagram. That's changing the source field, which is a little bit different. But in our case, we've created a campaign custom field, and what we can do now is we can create a filter on that specific campaign. So we bring in campaign here, and we can see all leads that are in the Facebook campaign. I think, in fact, we called it Instagram, didn't we? We labeled that one Instagram. So click on search. That will then pull the lead up that we've categorized. So that's how maybe you want to categorize. And then those fields then are available in your CRM reports. So if we click into the reports section here and add a report, then we can create the lead report. And in here, we can add our campaign. So it may be that you create a report with all the relevant information on here, then we can actually filter. So we bring in campaign in here is equal to Instagram. So we could call this Instagram report. And we can put dates on there, so dated between this month. So yeah, that's hopefully answers your question. And then yeah, you can bring in any fields in here, create charts, and share those reports with any particular person. We have done some customizations where we can bring into the reports tab here, but again, slightly a bit more on premise. But you can see if you're going to be using the lead sources, you can start using the lead sources in here as well. In last week's session, I asked a question about instalment payments, and you tried to create instalment payment by using recurring deals. However, it doesn't really fit our business model. Is there any other way to create instalment payments? I think the only other way to do it maybe would use maybe a workflow, so maybe a business process. So let's say, for example, we have a workflow. So you would create a deal. So you would create an initial deal for your product or your service that you've got a monthly subscription for, let's say, for example. Then what it might do is you can create it first of all. So this is your first one. And maybe create a workflow. I don't know, this is just an idea. Maybe create a workflow pretty similar. So if we said this is generate installments, let's just say that this business process is called. And then we could say the length of contract would be number between 1 and 12 in terms of months. You click on that, and then it will generate or wait to generate. So you could generate 12 deals all related to the same company or contact, or you could have it so in a business process that would go wait 30 days. So you say, for example, you put 6 months in here from a drop down. You press start, and then the business process would start in the background, and then in 30 days time it would generate a new deal, and it would close out this particular deal. But it would always associate it against the company. So if I went into the company at a later date, so let's just say Max Cloud Live Chat, I'd be able to see each deal that's automatically created for that 6-month period. And it may be that you have to have another process that says terminate contract that then ended the particular process. That's just an idea. So you would have one deal per installation, but it would be created automatically by a workflow that you trigger on the initial deal in the first place. That's just an idea. Yeah, so that's just going on from that. I would like to, for 12,000, I'd like to divide it into 12 months, which makes each 1,000 each month. Our company prepares finance reports, so this is vital for us to make sure this 12,000 payment is spread into a 12-month period. I think doing it that way would probably work. You would have 12 individual deals, each created at the specific time that it should do, and you don't have to worry about it. But you would have to, I think in the original deal, you would have to have the length of, or how the original deal is split into, and that would segment it up. Maybe get in touch with us after. I'll put our contact details up again. So maybe get in touch with us after, and we can discuss the process in more detail. It's quite hard to envisage it straight on the Bitrix system whilst on here. So maybe it takes a little bit of thinking, but it can definitely work for your type of business, I do believe. It's just how you want it to work. We could come up with a number of different scenarios. Okay, got another question. So we are a very small company that is now on the standard cloud plan. We are wanting to migrate from Pipedrive, where we have extensive Zapier automations. Could you talk in general terms about interfaces, service offerings, the sorts of budgets customers should be prepared to spend with you, and the types of tiers of services? So first of all, if you've got Zapier automations, I mean, Bitrix does come. So if I just jump into a cloud package of Bitrix, so and then go into the application store. So that's the first thing you should do. You'll have access to this on the standard cloud account. Just type in Zapier, and then you'll have access to the standard integrations. This is the cheapest way, because they generally are free, to get started with Zapier on Bitrix. So these are available: CRM, tasks, communications. At the moment, it's simple to install. Click on Zapier for CRM and then click on install and it will install it. You do have another site, so it tells you a little bit more about the integrations in here. These are becoming more and more popular. We had a client ask this week specifically for this, and we've been asked it numerous times. But so it is already inbuilt. So if you've got extensive Zapier automations already, have a look at that and see if this could work for you. I think if you're using Pipedrive, I'm not 100% sure what Pipedrive involves, if it's a project management tool or if it's a CRM itself. If it's project management, obviously the tasks is where you're going to be using this information. If it's Pipedrive is a CRM, then obviously it's a CRM tool you should be using. So have a look at that and see what you can do. In terms of our offerings, so as I mentioned right at the beginning, here at Interface we have in-house developers who can help pretty much with anything that you are wanting to expand into. So if you're wanting help with Zapier integrations themselves, we can help with that. In terms of budgets, we have everything from spending $100 through to thousands of dollars. It all depends on what type of project that you're involved in or you're wanting us to get involved in. So the good thing about us, you can contact us at any time. Again, I'll just put the contact details up while we're talking about this. We can have a no-cost consultation with one of our sales engineers. They can find out your requirements, what you're wanting inside Bitrix, and then we can come back to you and we'll tell you it's going to take X amount of time and it will cost X amount of dollars. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. We don't cost for any quoting or anything like that, unless it's a very full-scale project where it may take quite a lot of time to scope out. And in that case, we would tell you that it would be chargeable, but it would be refunded off the project cost. But we do have a complete wide range of clients. We have clients that are on the free account through to clients on the enterprise accounts. So the full spectrum of licenses. So we don't just offer the customization, but we also offer training, and we also offer support services. So we have a premium support, which is telephone and ticketing. I think somebody's just mentioned, can you please share Bitrix24 support account? I want to start a chat, but couldn't reach it. If you go into the widget on your Bitrix24, you should be able to find it. I think you said you were using an on-prem version. Click on the little search icon. I think if you type in Bitrix24, you should see Bitrix24 support in the left-hand channel, and you can contact them. They will, like I say, can take a little bit of time sometimes to respond, but the team will come back and answer any questions that you may have. I'm not from Bitrix24, even though we do it on the Bitrix24 YouTube channel. We're just a gold partner of Bitrix who have quite an extensive knowledge and experience of Bitrix, so that's why we do these sessions. Is there an open forum website for the Bitrix24 community to collaborate amongst each other? Bitrix do have, I believe Bitrix do have a forum. There's a lot of support queries that goes on in there. I think if you just type in any query that you may have, you'll see previous requests. So if you just type in Bitrix24 support, and you'll be able to come across. I don't know the community itself. I'm not part of that. But yeah, I would Google it and find out. Bitrix also, like I say, Bitrix have moved recently to this live chat technical support, so everybody from inside of Bitrix can communicate with them. So I've got a question, can we upload the deals to the drive? So I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that in terms of can we upload the deals to the drive, but if you go to the CRM, go to the deals, you would have to get them out in some physical file format. So if we go into our list view here, click into the gear icon and click into export deals to CSV. Once you've got a physical file, then you can import it into the drive, if that's what you're referring to. So you can export anything out of the CRM as long as you've got permission to do so. So you can export leads, deals, companies, contacts, invoices and quotes to a physical file. And then you could always upload it into your Bitrix24 drive wherever you wish. When you're exporting, just a couple of handy tips. Click on the little gear icon on top of the table. You can see some blue headers that are our table headers. So we can highlight these and select them. Then if we click on, they will show. And then when we export, it's going to ask us, do you want to export all deal fields? If you leave that unchecked, and also if you leave export detailed SKUs unchecked, it will export only your column headers. So it's quite useful to set your template that you want to export. So select the column headers. Don't select export all deal fields. Click on run and it will only export these column headers on here. So it can be quite useful. I would always recommend, if you are going to import, we have a lot of questions usually come in about importing leads. I would always recommend to set up all your fields that you want to have in leads, then create one lead manually and fill in all of the fields. Then come to the top of the table here, click on the gear icon, highlight all the column headers that you want, that you're going to be importing, and then click on the gear icon and click on export leads to CSV. What that will do then, it will give you a template so you can re-import back into Bitrix. So get rid of the one manual entry that you've got in your spreadsheet that you exported, and then re-import into Bitrix using the exact same spreadsheet, and it will map perfectly to the fields that you want to map to. So it is quite useful. Another question is, last week you showed us how to upload to drive function on a business process. I have tried it and it seemed like it did work, but when I checked the drive, I don't have the rest of that question, but I assume that when you check the drive that it wasn't in that particular drive. I mean, again, it's quite hard to diagnose, but I think we may still have it on our process. Let's have a look. Business process. I'm not sure where we did it. It might have been company. I'll just double check so you can go back into it. It won't have been deleted, I don't feel. It may be that it's on our on-premise. Let me just double check to see if it's on here, because it might be useful to some other people just if they weren't on our session last week. Let me just double check. I don't think it was in Leeds. Upload to drive. Yeah, so what we did last week was we created a work group. So this is a business process that's manually run, and creates the work group. It adds the file. It adds a folder to the work group. Yeah. So what we've done, created the work group, created a folder on the work group, and then uploaded the file that the form presents in to that particular folder. If you're document didn't appear in your drive, then make sure you click on, in our case, because we're creating it in the process, it's going to be a drive folder. Click on drive folder, and on here, if we just click into the 3 lines, click on additional results, we have the drive folder ID. That's where the document goes into. Now, if you didn't want it to go into a drive folder in the work group that we're creating here, then all you would need to do is click on, maybe if you wanted to go into a company drive folder, so let's just say we're not, you could put it into anything in here. So if we wanted to put it into client A, select folder, let's see if that's not added it. Oh, sorry. Click on here. So make sure it's highlighted. Make sure the button's green. Click on there. Then you can see it's going to go into that particular folder. So that's for a drive folder. If you go into a social network group drive, then you can put it into project ABC, and that will dump it into the root folder of that. So they're quite useful, especially if you click in here. We still should have access if you want to. So we looked at their social network group drive. That would put it in, like I say, into the root directory of that particular work group. But we're going to drive folder, and you can actually see the group drives that you're a member of. So that project ABC doesn't have any folders in it, but you can see if I wanted to drop it into the folder in testing in mega project. So you can see it's going into that. So I don't really know why. This is the area that it must be falling down on. So this is quite key. Drive folder and then folder. Or if you're creating the folder in here, click on there and find it on there. So somebody says we should set up a Facebook page for all of us. We could help one another. Yeah, it's a good idea. We can. I think we're moving more, Interface ourselves, moving more on social media over the coming weeks. So it might be something that, like I say, we have a group because, like I say, we're all here to ensure that you're using Bitrix to its full capabilities. Obviously, every business is very different in how they use Bitrix, but because it's got so many features and so many tools in it, I think it can be used by. We had somebody mention earlier that they've just got the standard. They're a very small business. I don't think it really matters if you're a small business or a multinational business with thousands of employees. You should all get the use out of Bitrix that you need because, yeah, it's quite straightforward. Once you start getting to understand the processes involved, the CRM elements are very powerful, especially when we look at we've looked at it many times in these live sessions, but the lead generation, you have so many tools to generate leads into Bitrix and feed them into, and with the API, we had another question earlier, just about feeding data from a list into a public form. Again, using the API, it's such a powerful tool. So yeah, hopefully, at least these sessions, like I say, these sessions are here. Put my contact details up. These sessions are on every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And please do come with questions. We've had quite a few questions today. Please do come with some questions because, like I say, we're here to provide an hour's free support, essentially. We can't diagnose issues that you may be having on your own system in these sessions. It's very difficult for us to understand unless we've seen the errors from our clients ourselves. Then maybe we could give you a solution on here. So it might be, like I say, it's worth asking for some of these things, but they're very hard. It's very hard for us to diagnose error messages and such. So yeah, but if you, like I say, I've mentioned it a couple of times, if you do want to get in touch with us, please do email sales@intraface. It's INTRE. It's not interface. It's INTRE FSE.com. It's on the screen there. and we can assist. And like I say, if you are interested and you do have some ideas about processes that you want to build, then one of our sales engineers can jump on a call with you, discuss them, and we'll be able to, like I say, we'll be able to tell you how long it will take and the cost involved if there is a cost. It may be something that's very straightforward and standard to do. We have had occasions where we just say, come on to Bitrix24 Live, and we'll show you how to build that process in 5 to 10 minutes on the live session, and then you can take it away and do it yourself, because we don't want to, if it's standard and it's easy to do, we can show you on these sessions. So by all means, please do ask. Okay, so we haven't had any more questions on here so far. Please do, just like we say, we've probably got 5-10 minutes left if there are some more questions, otherwise we may end early. So please do ask any questions that you may have on here. See if we've got some from... Do you know when the new employee profiles features are being released on the cloud? I don't at the moment, no. What I should probably do is try and find out a little bit more on the roadmap. I know on Bitrix's Dubai release they did have a roadmap on there. Sometimes they are a little bit delayed, but it will come to the cloud first. The cloud is... all the elements of Bitrix24 are released on the cloud, whether they're released in beta. So I think on the cloud version, the CRM analytics is released in beta. Some of it is not come through, but some of it has. So I think they're starting to filter through on here. So this is one of the big pluses of Bitrix once all the analytics side comes through into reporting on the CRM. So I don't at the moment, sorry. But yeah, we'll get that information. Maybe we'll try and find for next week when all of the features that were discussed on that webinar. I'll make a note and see if we can come back on that. Okay, so I think that's essentially it. We've got, like I say, we've not got any more questions. If you do have questions in the week, please do drop us an email and we can answer them on the next session. And like I say, every Thursday at 10 AM Eastern, here to answer any questions. If you do have any inquiries, get in touch with us using any of the methods on the screen at the moment. But thank you very much for all your questions and look forward to seeing you next week.